This is the Training Beta Podcast, and I'm your host, Neely Quinn. Thanks for joining me for another episode all about rock climbing training. We also talk about nutrition and mindset and basically anything that revolves around climbing better and just living a healthier life. Today, we're going to focus on nutrition. I'm a nutritionist. I'm an integrated clinical nutrition therapist. I've been practicing since 2007. I see clients through Training Beta. I've been seeing exclusively climbers pretty much since around 2013. I love working with climbers because you guys are so motivated. You will just do whatever I tell you to do. And then I and you get to see really quick changes to your health and your performance. So what I'm going to do today is actually do an entire nutrition session with a person who very kindly volunteered for this. Her name is Katelin. And Katelin has been struggling with some, as she calls it, sneaky weight gain and a lot of sugar cravings. So, which I think is kind of common for a lot of people. And so I thought she would be a perfect person to have on the show. So we're going to go through her diet and I'm going to talk to her about some changes that she can make. And then at the end, I'm going to tell you a little update that I got from her about a month or so after we did this talk. So this is exactly how I would work with a client. And if you want help with your own diet, your nutrition, your digestion, your just like optimizing your fueling for climbing, anything that revolves around nutrition, I'm here to help you. And I'm taking new clients, and you can find my services and options at trainingbeta.com/nutrition. And I would love to work with you. I have one other thing that I want to tell you before I get into this session with Katelin, which is I created another podcast and I wasn't expecting to do this. It kind of happened on a whim, but I don't know if you know this about me, but I love words. I am kind of a word freak and I love spelling and writing and grammar. And I sometimes ask my husband to find me words that stump me to spell them. And I really have always wished that there was an app or a podcast that I could just listen to while I'm making breakfast and just like quiz myself on kind of challenging words. And there's not something like that. And so I made that. I made what's called the Spelling Bee podcast. It's about 10 or 15 minutes long. I give you 10 words that are pretty challenging. They're like varying challenging levels. And then I tell you the definition and the etymology. And then at the end, I tell you how to correctly spell the words. So again, you can find it anywhere you find podcasts. It's called the Spelling Bee Podcast, and it's associated with my name. And I would love for you to listen if you are as nerdy as me, or even if you're not and you're just wanting to get better at spelling. So check it out. And that is my shameless plug. And now we will get into this session with Katelin. So here we go, and I'll talk to you on the other side. Enjoy. All right. Welcome to the show, Katelin. Thanks so much for talking to me today.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
Yeah. So we're going to do a nutrition session. And so this is a little bit different than normal episodes, but could you just introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. My name is Katelin Hollowell. I am 28 years old and I live in Dover, Delaware. And I have been climbing for about 4 years. My husband and I started back, we lived in Kansas and there was a new gym that had just opened and we started going and just really kind of fell in love with it. And because we've lived in places where there's not a ton of outdoor climbing, we kind of do more like indoor bouldering. But our new gym that we just started going to when we moved here has a tall wall with different like auto belay systems. So I've kind of gotten into doing a little bit more top roping and I kind of am really enjoying that. So I'm hoping for more opportunities to kind of be able to get outside and do some like outdoor top roping, lead climbing stuff as I find places to go nearby and kind of get more practice.
Nice. Yeah. I don't literally know anything about Delaware. Is there climbing there?
Not a ton. So there's 2 gyms in the whole state that have like climbing walls. And then there's, I think, a state park up north that I haven't gone to. There's some places in Maryland and some places in like West Virginia,
Yeah.
Shenandoah area. And then my parents live in northern Pennsylvania, so we've gone to some places in Pennsylvania as well. But they're all several hours drive. So it takes a little bit to get out there and kind of get situated, but we
Yeah.
just kind of are making the best of it.
Cool. Well, that all sounds fun. And I mean, honestly, I live near Boulder, Colorado, and I am a gym climber right now myself. So, like,
Okay,
there are so many merits to being a gym climber, and it's
that makes me
still
feel a little better.
funny and it's still really fun. So, but, and we'll talk more about climbing during this session, but basically what we're going to do here is talk about some struggles that you've had with nutrition, things that you want to learn more about, and I'll get to know you a little bit better, as will everybody else listening. First of all, also thank you so much for doing this. I know this is a very vulnerable position to put yourself in. You're talking about pretty personal things, but I can't tell you how many good reviews I've gotten for these kinds of episodes. People learn
Okay.
so much. So thank you.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was thinking about it and was like, I feel like I'm kind of just like a normal person. Like I don't have too many like big health concerns or, I'm not a super athlete or anything, but I was like, I have a lot of questions. So hopefully that'll be useful for people.
Yes, you are my audience for the most part. Yeah, totally. So anyway, then once we get some questions out of the way, I'm going to look at your MyFitnessPal diet log, which you kindly did for me for a whole week, which is super helpful. And I'm going to show you my screen when I do that. And I'm going to also put this podcast up as a YouTube video. So for anybody who wants to see what we're seeing, I'll try to explain it well enough so that it's still understandable in the podcast too. But if you want to see it, it'll be on YouTube. Okay, does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so tell me what you want help with nutrition.
So I have been kind of trying to keep track of what I'm eating, and I I feel like the last probably like since so I graduated from college like 5, 6 years ago, and I lost a ton of weight in college because I was walking a whole lot all the time, and just kind of like college life wasn't necessarily eating super well, and just had like a pretty significant drop in weight. And then I've noticed since graduating, like my weight every year has just like ticked up a little bit. And the amount that I lost in college was to kind of an unhealthy level. And so I don't necessarily like mind that it has been ticking upwards, but I've noticed that it's just been pretty steady. And I want to kind of slow that down and keep an eye on it because I know like I've had family members and people that I care about who've kind of struggled with that. And just it's been kind of a problem that they haven't been able to get on top of. And so I've wanted to pay attention to that. And then I also just feel very like there's a ton of information out there about like how much protein you're supposed to be eating and whether or not this, that, or the other thing is good for you and, how to fuel before you go and work out. And I just have kind of been feeling like I'm just kind of at a loss. And so I don't feel like I have very good like target to aim for. I'm not totally sure what I'm trying to do in the first place,
Mhm.
in terms of like protein and macros and like even calorie target to a certain extent. And then I also, I just feel like when I'm not, like if I'm not paying attention to it all the time, I just eat like a raccoon. Like I just like you'll be able to see when you look at my log. Like I did really well during the week and then I did terrible. I ate like pizza and just didn't pay any attention at all to what I was eating over the weekend because we were just at home, doing stuff around the house and like just wasn't like thinking about my food. And then as soon as like Monday started, like I was back to like, okay, I'm planning my meals and I'm thinking about, what am I bringing to work for lunch? And, I'm going to be working out on Monday. So I'm kind of planning ahead for that. And just like, I don't know. I feel like if I don't pay attention to it, I just kind of wander off and do whatever. And I don't know if it's like not being able to form a healthy habit or not knowing exactly what I'm looking for. So I'm kind of like, it's not that big of a deal, whatever. Um, but yeah, I just feel a little bit like kind of lost in the weeds, I feel like. And it's something that I want to pay attention to and be on top of because, like I said, I don't, I want to keep I want to be healthy. Like I want to, be improving my fitness and also like paying attention to things and just staying in the best shape so that I can, keep working out and climbing and enjoying that. Um, but yeah, that's kind of it's kind of a lot, but that's what I was.
No, that's not a lot, but I mean, yeah, like you said, you're generally a healthy person. You didn't really name a single complaint except for the fact that you're a little bit confused about what you should be aiming for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I have kind of like, yeah, I haven't noticed necessarily any fatigue or anything, which kind of seems like a lot of people have come with like fatigue complaints and stuff like that in different podcast episodes that I've listened to.
Mhm.
And I don't know that I've necessarily been dealing with that so much as just like, yeah, just feeling like I'm not on top of it and not really knowing what to aim for to be able to like do well and be consistent in eating healthily.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna ask you a potentially triggering question for everybody out there. Trigger warning. I'm gonna ask her weight. Because for me, I'm sitting with video with you, right? Like, I don't know what your body looks like. I don't know if there's anything to be concerned about. I don't know,
Mhm.
like, one way or the other.
Yeah.
And sorry, mostly one way. Like, what I'm
Yeah.
trying to get at is I want to make sure there's no eating disorder going on here. So,
Yeah.
can you tell me what your height and weight are right now and maybe what they were in college?
Yeah. So I'm 5'8". Haven't grown much since middle school, so I've been 5'8" for years now. But I am 146, 147 now pounds now, and I was 128-ish at like my lowest point in college. So I'd kind of dropped pretty far down into I don't know that I ever really was like disordered eating, but I definitely wasn't eating like a lot or well. Um, and like I said, I'm pretty confident like where I'm at now is healthy and an okay weight to be at.
Mhm.
Um, but it has ticked upwards just kind of steadily every year. And I don't want it to get out of that healthy range.
Yeah, totally get it. Okay. And I do use BMI as a very basic calculator. So I
Hmm.
just put your numbers into the BMI calculator. I
Hmm.
know that there are like entire Instagram posts about how stupid the BMI. I know that that's a thing. But for me, it's like the only thing I've got, right? So
Yeah.
your BMI currently is 22.5, which is like totally healthy. It's on the lower side of normal. And so what you're basically saying to me is like, I feel fine about where I'm at. I just don't want it to get out of control.
Yes.
Okay.
And I have one of those scales that measures like body fat
Okay.
percentage. And I've noticed that like increasing as well. So I'm at like 29% body fat based on according to the scale. And I guess I don't really know how to interpret that number either. Like I have an app that I like put it into my like Samsung Health app and it shows that as being like above like a healthy percentage for like somebody my height and age. And so I don't really know how to interpret that number either or how to like fix that, I guess, or
Yeah,
drop it
totally.
if it needs to go down.
Okay, so I wouldn't put too much stock into it unless it's like a very expensive one. And like how much water you've had, if you've eaten, what time of day, like all those things
Mhm.
can affect it. What
Okay.
you're probably using that for is just like a general trend, like to see if
Yeah.
it's yeah, which is useful. But I would maybe go to just Google in body, all one
Mhm.
word, and then just like a city wherever you are, and then yeah, you're in Dover, which is pretty big, it seems like, maybe. I
For the area.
so a lot of times they'll have them at either rec centers or CrossFit gyms will have them,
Mhm.
and it's you stand on this thing and you grab these nodes and you should do it like before you have breakfast, fasting, before you drink any water. And then that'll show you your body fat percentage and
Okay.
your visceral fat, which is really important. And that I have done that and then went and got a DEXA scan and it was like
Hmm.
2% off. So
Interesting.
it's pretty accurate, at least in my experience. So anyway, that's one thing you could do if you
Okay.
wanted to know and if you wanted to track it. And that's really the only reason I have people do it is to if they want to track it because sometimes if you're dieting a lot, you can start to lose a lot of muscle and we don't want
Yeah.
that. Obviously, whenever you lose weight, you're going to lose a little bit of muscle, but
Hmm.
that's the trend that we want to look at. So I don't have anything to say about the 29% because I don't know how
Okay.
accurate it is.
Gotcha.
Um,
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, but I wouldn't worry too much about it and I wouldn't put too much
Yeah.
stock in it. And honestly, when we go through this, like a lot of times what's happening is people are eating not enough protein and too many carbs.
Hmm.
And once we flip that,
Hmm.
their body composition starts to change. I have
Okay.
no idea what you're eating, so I don't know if we're going to change that much,
Gotcha.
but
Okay.
that's kind of what naturally just happens. Okay, so that's out of the way. And you said that you have no real energy complaints. Like in the afternoon, you're not bonking. Are you drinking much caffeine?
Um, Usually just like, yeah, just usually like one cup in the morning. And maybe I'll have some in the afternoon, like every once in a while, but not very often. I've noticed over the past like year or two that if I have it in the afternoon, like I don't sleep super well. And so I have been trying to be better about not having it in the afternoon because I lie awake at 11:30 being like,
Okay.
I would
Yeah.
really like to sleep right now, but I
No,
can't.
fun. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so I have been trying to not have caffeine in the afternoon unless there's a reason I'm staying up late for driving or whatever. Um, yeah, I haven't really noticed like a super big like afternoon slump. I don't we tend to like go to the gym and work out quite late as well, so it could just be like I'm kind of more of an afternoon evening person anyways. Um, but yeah, we're not I'm usually very hungry in the afternoon. Usually
Okay.
by the time I get home from work, I'm like need something to eat before I go to the gym, otherwise I'm gonna not do super great. But
Yeah.
not so much energy wise.
Okay. Cool. And that's the next thing I wanted to talk to you about was your schedule.
Hmm.
So what I'm interested in is when you wake up, when you eat throughout the day, when you're at work, what your commute is like actually,
Hmm.
and then what you're doing at work, and then when you exercise.
Okay. So I usually get up around like 7:15, 7:30. Um, I've been trying to work out in the morning, but haven't been super successful in that. So usually I'm at work by like 8:30. Um, I eat breakfast like around that time, and then usually have a cup of coffee. And then I am a forensic scientist, so I kind of split my time in between sitting at my desk or I'm in lab, kind of moving around doing stuff there. So some of that is like on my feet moving around, but most of it is kind of it's not super, super active. Um, so yeah, I usually have breakfast like between 8 and 9, I'd say. And then um like usually around like 10 o'clock, 10:30, like I'll have some kind of snack and then lunch around like 12. And then usually by like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, like I want another snack. And then I get home around 4:35. Usually I have like a 15-minute commute, so not super far for that. Um, Usually I end up eating some kind of like protein bar, something a little bit like heavier, protein heavy, because we have an hour drive down to where our gym is. So usually 2 to 3 times a week we go to the gym. Or like I might go for a run or do some kind of like strength training, which I'm trying to kind of move into the morning because I would like to be able to go down to the gym a little bit more. Um, but yeah, usually we're at the gym from like 6:30 to 8:30 or 9, and then we drive home. And so then normally we eat dinner at like 10:30, 10 o'clock, and then go to bed at like 11:30ish is
Okay.
usually the kind of rough schedule. So we eat and work out very late.
Yeah. And when you don't go to the gym, what's that schedule like at night?
Usually, so like I said, usually I'll like go for a run. I am currently training for a marathon in October, which I listened to your podcast about running and climbing at the same time and was like, unfortunate. But I do run pretty frequently just because I enjoy it, and it's just kind of feels like an additional thing, kind of a way to kind of break up climbing training and stuff like that. Um, and so I run like 3 times a week ish, roughly. And so I if we're not going to the gym, a lot of times like I'll either go for a run or we're just doing stuff around the house usually until 7:30, 8 o'clock, eat around more like 8:30. Um, and then the same kind of thing. We're just kind of around the house until 11 o'clock, 11:30.
Okay. And when you run, it's when you get home from work.
Yeah, usually.
So you have a snack and then you go for a run.
Yeah, if I'm running, I usually eat lighter, just because my stomach doesn't love eating a ton of stuff before I go running. So I don't, when I'm running, I don't normally eat a ton beforehand. Maybe I'll have like half a protein bar or, some fruit snacks or something, but not a lot. And the same as if I go for a run in the morning, like I won't have something super heavy. Um,
And
but
what time would you run in the morning if you do?
From like 7:50, probably like 7:30 to 8:45, 8:30.
Okay. And what would you have, if anything, to eat before that run?
Like a half a protein bar usually. That's
Okay.
kind of my go-to.
Okay.
If it's gonna be
And
something shorter, like under 4 miles, 5 miles, I don't usually eat anything.
okay. And how often do you do that?
In the morning, I'm only successfully making it out of bed and out, hitting the street probably like once a week. It's like I said, it's something that I'd like to do more, but because we're going to bed a little bit later when we go to the gym and stuff like that, I haven't quite nailed that schedule down yet.
Okay. Got it. And do you take full rest days ever?
Yeah, okay. This is hard. Yes, but not like intentionally. So I feel like I have all these like great plans about like I want to run this many days a week and I want to work out and we want to go to the gym, and then I feel like I'm only like, I don't know, like 65% successful. So yes, I end up taking rest days, which are good, but it doesn't feel like it's like scheduled in very well. Um, and so I yes, to answer your question, like I do end up having days where I like am not working out. So like this week, I had a long run that I did on Monday that was 9 miles. And then I was going to work out on Tuesday, but I was too tired, so I didn't. And then today, I didn't get up in the morning to work out, but I'm gonna do like strength training and probably some climbing this afternoon. Um, but like yesterday I had plans to work out, but I was just kind of like, I'm really kind of sore and stiff, so I'm not going to. And it's like, I didn't have that planned, but that was just kind of how it ended up happening.
Mm-hmm. And
Um,
going along those lines, what will you do Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday of this week, do you think? Or what did you do last week, if you can remember?
my I have 2 more runs. So I have a 4 mile and a like a sprint workout that's I think also like roughly 4 miles. And then probably two climbing. So we'll go climbing this afternoon and then either this afternoon or tomorrow, and then probably this weekend as well.
One day?
Yes. Yeah.
And you'll do 2 more runs. Do you know which days you'll try to do those?
Um, what's today? Wednesday? Probably tomorrow and Friday I'll do them.
Okay, and then Sunday?
That'll be the day that we go climbing, I think.
Oh, sorry. And then what about Saturday?
That I don't think we'll end up doing anything. I don't usually end up working out on Saturdays. We're doing stuff around the house or visiting people.
Okay, so just as an overview, Monday, long run, Tuesday,
Mhm.
rest, Wednesday, strength, train and climb, Thursday, run, Friday, run, Saturday, rest, Sunday, climb.
Yeah.
And is there another strength training session in there too somewhere?
There's supposed to be, but I'm not totally sure when I'm gonna do it. So that's
Mm.
the kind of thing where like I didn't end up doing that on Tuesday. And so then I'm kind of like, schedule. I don't really know how to I'm still I'm that's one of the things I'm like trying to figure out is like how to find a schedule that's like works for me and I can stick to and be more consistent with. Um
Yeah, totally. It's called not having a full-time job.
yeah, yeah. That's kind of what it feels like.
I know.
And
I'm
that's
like, I don't know how people do this.
yeah, and that's why I was like if I could just like go to bed earlier and get up earlier, then I could like do more stuff in the day, but then we go to the gym so late that then it's like
Mhm.
that whacks me out for the next day. So I'm still trying to kind of get find something that like
Yeah.
really works for me.
Yeah, and if we have time, we can chat about that. But either way, it's really good for me to know, approximately how many calories you're expending. And
Yeah.
so when you go to the gym, you're typically bouldering. Are you doing like big workouts bouldering, or are you just kind of bouldering around?
Kind of more just like bouldering around, testing out, doing different routes. I haven't really gotten into like super focused like training for that.
Yeah.
Um,
And what grades are you climbing on, if I may ask?
I'm like three, fours, V3, V4. And then if I do stuff on the tall wall, it's usually like 9 plus, 10 minus playing on 511.
Okay, great. Okay. I think I have enough information. So then we can go to your diet log,
Okay.
which I've already got pulled up. And I'm going to share my screen now on this video. So anybody who's watching on YouTube will be able to see your log.
Okay.
Um, so what I'm looking at on MyFitnessPal is you can see this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what I'm looking at is there's a week of breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks all
Mm-hmm.
parsed out. And then um, I can see calories, carb grams, fat grams, protein grams, and sugar grams.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can see that's per meal and I can see totals. And then
Mm-hmm.
also when I click on this little bar here, I can see your percentages of your macros. So your
Okay.
percentage of carbs, fat, and protein.
Okay.
And um, so what I'm going to do is ask you if you can remember the exercise that you did on these days
Okay.
and what time of day it was so that I know how well you were fueled and,
Okay.
all that stuff.
I'm gonna just have my running plan app up so I can
Okay,
I have it
perfect.
logged
Yeah.
there.
And what I'm looking at here are your calories, carbs, fat, protein, sugar per meal. And I'm comparing them to each other because what I typically see work really well for everyone really
Mm-hmm.
is having your meals be similar in size. Because what people typically come to me doing is they'll have a small breakfast, a small-ish lunch, and then they'll have a bigger dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And that it just doesn't work, especially if you're climbing in between lunch and dinner. And
Yeah.
granted, there are snacks in there, but often they're just not substantial enough. And so
Yeah.
we're under fueling during the day and then making up for it late at night.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not seeing that super badly on yours, but we are going
Okay.
to talk about some tweaks we can make.
Sounds good.
And then I'm also
Yeah.
looking at your totals. So
Okay.
I see that your protein grams are 106, which is way better than most people's. So good.
That is one thing that I like try to make sure that I'm incorporating, but also have quite the sweet tooth, so I don't know how it balances out.
Yeah. Right. So, and just to give us some reference here, this Wednesday last week, what
Yeah.
was your exercise on that day?
So I did a 4.5 mile run on Wednesday.
Okay. And that was after some of these snacks in the afternoon.
Yes, that would have been, yeah, that was in the afternoon.
Okay, so in her snacks, there's a green apple, Welch's fruit snacks, 2 bags, and then dark chocolate, blueberry acai.
Yeah.
So,
They're the
and
little like dark chocolate covered blueberries.
so you had all of that after work, and then you went for your run?
Um, no. So MyFitnessPal doesn't, as far as I could tell, didn't look like they like broke it up during the like by time.
Yeah.
Um, so I think I only had the chocolate in the afternoon and then the apple and the fruit snacks were like during the day.
Okay, cool. So I'm gonna go through this, and this isn't what I would normally do, but I'm gonna say it out loud so that
Mhm.
people can hear like what you've been eating.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk
Please,
about it.
please don't judge
So
me, listeners.
yeah, no, I mean, there's nothing to judge here. Like, this is all very normal. All of these foods are whole foods. They're great foods. Like, I don't have any complaints about what you're eating, right?
Just don't look at Friday then.
Okay. Well, even then, I'm all for, having some fun with food here and there. So, for your breakfast, you have 2 scoops of whey protein, naked whey with low fat milk,
Hmm.
half of a cup, and then a clean protein bar,
Hmm.
come ready nutrition. So all of this equals 372 calories, 32 grams of carbs, 10 grams of fat, and 44 grams of protein, which is amazing that you're getting 44 grams of protein in your breakfast. I'm really happy about that. Your sugar is also quite low in this meal, which is really good. It's 18 grams. Um, because a lot of times people have really sugary breakfast and then their blood
Oh,
sugar
okay.
goes way up and then they bonk and then they're like crap, they crash. So the part of the reason that you probably don't have fatigue issues is because you're getting so much protein in the morning,
Okay.
which is great because it can affect the rest of your day. So I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, I've
Now,
noticed if I eat more protein, if I try to eat like Greek yogurt or something a little more protein heavy in the morning, I am much less like snacky and ridiculous during my like day at work when I'm not super busy. So I have been trying to like have more protein in the morning so that I'm not just a gremlin throughout the day.
yeah. But you said that you eat breakfast and then about an hour and a half, 2 hours later, you're hungry again, which to me always signifies that the person isn't eating enough for breakfast because there's no reason to be hungry an hour and a half later. If you,
Okay.
I mean, you can do it like that. But to me, I'm like, I want to think about food as little as possible. And I want to get my calories from really filling whole balanced meals.
Hmm.
So your breakfast was only 372 calories and your carbs were only 32 grams. And if we
Hmm.
look at the percentages there, that is actually coincidentally 32%. And what I would want to see is around 40% for your breakfast. So it's a
Okay.
little bit low and it's also not very starch heavy. You can see that your sugar is 18 and your whole carbs for this meal are 32. And that's because
Okay.
you're not having like bread or cereal or uh anything starchy, rice, potatoes, sweet potatoes, all those things, which I'm
Okay.
actually a huge fan of.
Oh,
Because
okay.
a lot of times, like I said, when people eat sugar, it goes more quickly. Like it takes less time for your body to break that down. And so
Okay.
your blood sugar just gets a little bit lower a little bit faster.
Hmm.
And so what I would recommend is that you add like say a piece of toast with some fat on it, with some butter or peanut butter or almond butter, something like that on it because
Okay.
you're also not getting very much fat. What fat percentage I would want to see would be like around 35%. And this is for every meal basically.
Okay. So
And go
you think
ahead.
about it in terms of like breaking your meal down into those percentages and then your full day as well.
Totally. Yes.
Okay.
Your full day can be a little bit different and we'll talk about that in a second, but
Okay.
per meal, yeah, I want them to look pretty similar. It doesn't have to be exact, but you can see that your fat percentage was only 23% for this meal. And that's because there's not really any place where there is fat in this meal. And
Hmm.
so that's why, other breakfasts would be like, rice chicken, vegetables, olive oil. Or for breakfasts, a lot of people don't really like savory breakfasts, but it would be like um yogurt, Greek yogurt with protein powder added with some nuts or peanut butter added into it. And then granola, like a low sugar granola, because then we're getting
Okay.
our starch from the oats and the granola, some carbs from the yogurt, the protein from the protein powder and the yogurt, and then some fat from those nuts and whatever else you want to put in there. So
Okay.
that's just like one single example, but you see what I'm saying. And so
Yeah. Okay.
in terms of how big this should be, your overall calories were only 1,700, which is pretty low. I'm gonna actually look through and see, because the next day was 1,700. The next day, Friday, was 1,868, which is still pretty low for a person your size. Then Saturday comes along, you're at 2,262, especially
Hmm.
for doing as much exercise as you're doing. Like these calories are pretty low. And I think the reason for it, we'll talk about the reason for it, but I think there is a good reason for it. And it could
Okay.
just be that your resting metabolic rate is just lower and you
Okay.
don't require that many calories. But if you are hungry a lot, if you're tired a lot, which you aren't, if you're performing not as well as you want to, if you're not recovering from exercise well, if you're not sleeping, if you're losing weight, these are all signs that you're not getting enough food. However, sometimes you can not eat enough and your body's like, wait, I'm not getting enough. And so I'm gonna hold on to the fat that I have. And so it can
Okay.
kind of be opposite sometimes. And it's
Okay.
tricky and you have to experiment to really see what's
Yeah.
going on. But I wonder if that's what's going on here because these calories are just low. Like if even as a 5'1" person, if I only have 1,700 calories in a day, I'm hungry.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess that is kind of part of my question then. It's like what is a good number to aim for? Because I look at that and I'm kind of like I feel like I've been like gaining weight a little bit. And so then I'm kind
Yeah.
of like, well, maybe it needs to be like lower. But I've tried setting it at like 1,600 and I never ever make it. Like I'm always hungry. And so I was
Yeah.
like, I don't think like 1,700 was, I was like, okay, this is gonna have to be a compromise here because I'm not hacking this.
I know. Yeah. Any lower than that. And I would be like, girl, we need to. So
Okay.
this is like walking the line here with 1,700.
Okay.
So
Huh.
what then I start to look at is, okay, what's her protein? What's her fat? What's her carbs? Um, because if your carbs are really high, what did you say you did on this day? 4 mile run?
Yeah.
Okay. And how long were you running?
Um 43 minutes and 5 seconds.
Okay. And how, like, do you know what zone you're in?
No,
Are
I
you like
don't. It was
doing,
an easy run, so and it was yeah, it was an easy run and it was 4.5 miles. So just under like a 10-minute mile-ish, probably like nine
okay.
and a half minute mile.
All right. So you're kind of chilling and it's steady
Yeah.
pace.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not like an interval workout or anything like that.
Yeah. So that's like, it's going to be fewer calories than if you were to throw intervals in there, blah, blah, blah,
Mhm.
um, and so it's also going to require a little bit fewer carbs.
Okay.
Uh, like you can get away with, this is a whole different conversation and I'm not going to get into it. But basically what I say is if you're going to, for every hour of actual exercise that you're doing,
Mhm.
for a person your size, maybe we would put in 30 or 40 grams of extra carbs. Okay.
Okay.
And you can do that in the form of sugar. Like, of course, people would bring glucose gels with them on runs, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Um, so if we kind of take away that 30 or 40 extra grams of carbs, we're at about 190 grams of carbs for that day. And we're also, if we take it out of your sugar, which was 114 grams that day, what
Mhm.
I would want to see for a person who is trying to maintain their weight and not continue gaining weight is lower sugar. So I
Okay.
like to start with a baseline of about 40 grams on, say, a rest day, okay, per
Okay.
the day, which is a lot different than 114. And I'm only laughing because sometimes I just laugh when it's inappropriate. But I
No, it's real bad. I have quite the sweet tooth and I'm not been able to figure out like if I'm not eating well. And so that's what's causing me to be like,
yeah.
"Grr,"
The
or
reason you have a sweet tooth is because you're not eating enough starch
okay.
and you're not eating enough fat. And so if you were to have if you were to do this every day for every meal for like 3 days, I guarantee your sweet tooth would go away. If you had like a cup of rice, 5 ounces of chicken, a tablespoon of olive oil, and a few vegetables stir fried, if that was every meal of every day, your sugar cravings would very much decrease because you'd be getting everything that you need.
Yeah.
And I might be off a little bit on that, but it's something like that where you're
Gotcha.
getting enough protein, you're getting enough carbs in a very sustainable way, and
Mm-hmm.
getting enough fat. Because if you, and I'm going to actually come back to this because I don't want to sidetrack myself. So
Okay.
coming back to this 114 grams of sugar, if we take away the 30 grams that I said you could use on that run, we're
Mm-hmm.
still at 80 ish,
Mm-hmm.
um, or 75, which is too high. And we've got that mostly in your snacks. It's like
Yeah.
the apple, the fruit snacks, the chocolate. And and I understand why you'd want that like right before your workout. Um, but you want to round that out with a little bit of protein, like a 1 scoop of protein in water or something, or
Okay.
and that might be even be hard on your stomach, but even if it's like an hour before your run, you want to get
Mm-hmm.
something in there.
Okay.
But so if you lowered your sugar a little bit and increased your starch a little bit, I think that would help. If you increased your fat to 35%,
Okay.
the daily goals that MyFitnessPal puts out is just so off. They're like, yeah, have no fat, all carbs, and I'm glad that it says 25% protein. But
Yeah, that's what so I have been tracking as well, like on my Samsung Health, just because there's more just different things that I've been tracking in their sleep and stuff like that. And that's about the same percentages that it recommends as well.
yeah.
So I was just kind of curious about that.
Yeah, so for you, 25% is 134 grams, which is exactly what I would have said. And that's the percentage that I want people to be at in general.
Okay.
And so that would mean in each of your meals, if we're having 3 meals and one snack, right? That's
Mhm.
roughly 40 grams per meal ish.
Oof, yeah.
That's not true. It's 30. I'm really bad at math, apparently. Because it's like
Yeah, me too.
it's like 30. No, it is 40. It's because it's 40 times 3 meals is like 120, and then around 15 in a snack would bring you up to this 134. So
Okay.
you're getting that with the whey protein, but then we look at your lunch and she had sourdough, 1 slice of sourdough bread, 1 cup of green beans, 1 container of non-fat Greek yogurt, and peanut butter, which
Yeah,
was
and it's showing that as 1 slice, but it was 2 slices. Like
it was too okay.
I'm not a monster. It was a sandwich.
All right. If you want to switch that right now, I can update it. But so then that's 330. It's actually going to be more like 450 calories, which is better than the 330 that I'm seeing right now. And then um around it's going to be like 6. Yeah, can you update that?
Yes.
But the main thing I want to show you is that your fat grams are only 8 grams, and then your protein is only 21 grams, and it'll end up being 24 grams when you put your sourdough in there. But
Okay.
that's still not enough, as you can see, right? So this
Okay.
is where lunch, it's really, you've got to say to yourself, all right, what's my protein source? And
Mhm.
are you vegetarian? No, you have salmon in here.
Nope.
Are you pescatarian or anything?
Nope.
Okay. So this is where you're like, all right, do I chicken, turkey, whey protein, tofu, whatever it might be, but there's got to be like a main protein source that you're building around
Okay.
because you really have to get that in there because that's what's going to satiate you for the
Okay.
day. That's what's going to help you go home and not be starving and then be able to
Yeah.
do a really good workout that's well fueled, right? So we're looking at like a turkey sandwich on the sourdough bread, or with lettuce, tomato, and some hummus or something for fat. Or you, like I said, you could always just pre-make, chicken, rice, vegetables, olive oil.
Mhm.
That's like the
Okay.
easy go-to. And you can change that up with different sauces. Like it could be Thai, it could be
Mhm.
Mexican, it could be whatever you want it to be, depending on the sauce that you use. And
Yeah,
by the way,
okay.
the fat needs to go up, and that's going to be in the form of, oil, or even like an olive oil mayo, or a salad dressing. But if you have a salad, we need to make sure that there's a starch. So, like lots of potatoes or some quinoa in
Okay.
there or something like that.
Okay.
And then like the meat or tofu, we're looking at, for meat, like 4 to 6 ounces. For you, I would say like 4 to 5. And if it's tofu, it has to be like 8 ounces to get that.
Okay.
So uh that's kind of what we're looking at for lunch. And then your dinner, you had baked salmon and vegetables with stir fry sauce. And
Yeah.
so this says that there's 33 grams of carbs in those vegetables. And I'm willing to bet that most of it is fiber. And so
Mhm.
then we're like, okay, well, she had no starch for dinner. And we're told like carbs are bad, so don't eat
Mhm.
them. However, after dinner, you wanted all of these blueberry
Chocolate,
aside,
yeah.
right? Like you had 300 calories and 55 grams of carbs in your snack, which I'm not
Mhm.
saying there's anything wrong with that, but it was 45 grams of sugar,
Okay. And,
which
like,
makes
if I'd had rice at dinner, like, that might have balanced it
you
out
wouldn't
better.
have even thought about it.
Okay.
Like I have sweet potatoes, uh, pork chop, and vegetables for dinner. And I literally don't think about sugar. And I was a binge eater before. I could
Mhm.
eat like a whole pan of blondies.
Yeah.
So, so like I understand sweet tooth. And
Yeah.
now that I eat this way, it's completely different.
Okay.
So it does make a difference, and it does make a difference to your metabolism. And I think that that's probably what's mostly going on. Now, I, of course, want to take a look at some other days. This next day looks pretty similar. So we're going to skip that day. But
Yeah.
that you were like, oh, don't look at my Friday, but we're going to look at it.
Yeah.
um, so Friday, what exercise did you do?
Friday was a rest day. So I had done an interval workout and climbing on Thursday night. And so Friday was a kind of like a rebound. Didn't end up doing very much on
Okay.
Friday.
All right. And I just want to point out that on Thursday, if you did all of that work and you only had 1,700 calories, what that's probably going to do to you is your performance probably wasn't like optimal. Or do you remember? Was it?
It was my run was fine, but it was just kind of like neutral. Like it wasn't fantastic. It wasn't terrible, terrible. It was just kind of
Yeah. And sometimes people don't even know that it's bad until they've
yeah.
experienced good.
Huh.
And
Okay.
so I'm curious what would happen if you added starch, you took out some of the sugar, you added protein, so that every day you're getting these 135 grams, and you added
Okay.
a little bit of fat, and you took out some of these sugary things, right?
Yeah.
And I wonder how you would feel, because I think you will feel like a monster, like in a
Yeah.
good way. You're gonna be like,
Yeah.
oh,
I'm
I don't,
curious.
yeah. So that's because the other thing that it does is when you have 1,700 calories and you do all that exercise, you're going to feel that the next day too. So I'm willing to bet that you were tired, like pretty tired on Friday.
Yeah. I definitely didn't feel like cooking, didn't really like that is part of why we had pizza for dinner because I was just like, I just want something easy and was just kind of in like a junk food kind of mood, which I guess could maybe be a part of that because it's
Yeah,
not super like rounded out. But yeah, I
totally.
was pretty tired by Friday and Saturday.
Yeah. Which, I mean, we're going to have tired days, but you start to notice, oh, I didn't eat enough yesterday and I'm more tired today than I really need to be. And so it also is going to get in the way of your motivation to do the things that you really want to do.
Yeah.
So this day you had a different breakfast. You had strawberries and blueberries, about a cup total, and then non-fat Greek yogurt, 1 cup, and then some granola, half a cup.
Mhm.
So that was 361 calories, which was a really similar size. So it seems like you're in the habit of having about the same size breakfast.
Yeah.
and we had 43 grams of carbs, 22 of which were sugar.
Yeah.
And
A lot of
that again, like this is a sweet breakfast, which I
Mhm.
understand is delicious, but it could have used some fat. We had only 9 grams of fat, which was only 22%. And again, we're looking for 35. We had 29 grams of protein, which is good,
Mhm.
but we want more even. So you could have put like half of a scoop of protein powder in there or something.
Okay.
And for the fat, you could just add some nuts and seeds
Do
or
you think getting
yeah.
something more like whole fat yogurt would, like, add that in there, or is it better to add, like, nuts and seeds, like, some sort of variety in there?
You can do either, but what I will say with the whole fat yogurt or higher fat yogurt is it's going to have less protein in it. So you're
Okay.
going to have to supplement with the protein powder
Okay. Yeah, because
or have
usually I
something
buy
else
the
in it,
non-fat Greek yogurt because I am looking for, like, the highest
the
fat to
protein.
lowest or the highest protein to lowest fat, like, ratio, but
Yeah.
I've never really looked at the whole I know they have that, I just haven't really gotten it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I would play around with that. And also, it depends on what you like the taste of. So,
Okay.
but this is a really high protein yogurt. But
Mhm.
again, it's still not enough for you right
Right now.
now, you know.
Okay.
But those more savory breakfasts are just gonna set you up better. I think like this kind of meal is really good for a pre-climbing snack or meal. Because
Okay.
when you go climbing, you're typically mostly using your anaerobic system, which
Mhm.
requires carbs. And you also don't want to have like this really fatty meal that's going to be hard to digest. And so you want something that's going to be faster burning carbs like the yogurt and the granola and and plenty of protein though. And so this kind of thing is perfect for when you get home from work, you're ready to go to the gym and you want something. So
Okay.
definitely do that then. And that's what I tell people a lot is like make your breakfast your pre-workout snack. And if it is
Okay.
your pre-workout meal, great. Like if you're going to work out afterward, but that's not you.
Yeah. Not
Um
not at the moment.
yeah. So, but I would also want it to be bigger and it's going to get bigger by virtue of you adding more protein and more fat.
Okay.
But even the carbs can be bigger. So, like, if I did some quick math, if you're having, let's say you're having 1,800 calories a day, which again is pretty low. So it's like uncomfortable for me to even do this for a
Okay.
5'8" person. But since this is, I'm not trying to make you gain weight right now. But so if it's 1,800 and we're looking for 40% carbs
Mhm.
and uh we have 3.5 meals, say that's 180 grams of carbs that we're looking for. And in each meal, it's going to be about 50. And you got that in your lunch, which was green apple, sourdough bread, peanut butter, and string cheese.
Yeah.
So that was 52 grams. But you can see also that that was 18 grams of sugar. Where did, yeah, this is pretty good, but your protein was only 20 grams. So if you're going to have a snacky meal like this, I want you
Mm.
to just add protein powder to it. But what I
Okay.
really want for you to do is to put some meat on that sourdough bread, like put some
Gotcha.
deli turkey on it, make a bunch of chicken breasts,
Okay.
and have those because there's only so much whey protein powder we can tolerate in a day.
Yeah.
And then we also would want to have more fat in here. So you could have had more peanut butter, for instance. You could have had um, like almond butter on your apple or something like that, or
That
just
is
a
really
handful of nuts.
gotcha. That is really funny because I do feel like I've been trying to, like, avoid eating, like, too much peanut butter and, like, fats and stuff like that. So it is kind of interesting that, like, it's
Yeah.
almost like the opposite of what I've been trying to do.
Yeah. And I think that's what's making you hungry because protein and fat are extremely satiating. And
Mhm.
when we don't have enough of them, so just, and
So if
keep,
you and then if you eat it in, like, a healthy way,
yeah.
then that is balancing that out instead of having something that's, like, fat and a lot of sugar.
Yeah, and to be clear, I'm not saying like go keto. That's not something that I recommend. And we're
Yeah.
talking about very small percentage changes. Like
Mhm.
this lunch was 29% fat and I'm looking for 35 to 40. Like it's
Okay.
not that big, but it makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
especially
Okay.
when in conjunction with more protein.
Yeah.
So then your dinner was 845 calories. And this is super common, right?
Hmm.
Breakfast and lunch are 360, 400. Dinner is double the size because we are kind of starving ourselves low key during the day. And so you had pizza,
I
nacho
ate
cheese
like a raccoon.
Doritos, yeah, and an IPA, which yeah, it's a Friday night. Like you're gonna do that.
Yeah, and I
Um,
don't really drink like I'll have like a beer on the weekend, but I'm not a big drinker during the day, so or like during the week. So that is kind of like
yeah,
I don't have that
fine.
super often.
And I'm very happy to see that in your snacks you had this milk and the whey, 2 scoops of whey protein, because you saved yourself here because your dinner only had 19 grams of protein. And this happens all the time with pizza, right? We get a
Yeah.
pepperoni pizza, it's mostly fat and carbs, it's very low protein. And so you either need to have like a little bit of protein powder with it
Hmm.
or get a I don't know. I don't know what pizza places even offer anymore. I haven't been able to eat pizza in like 25 years. Like, could you have chicken on your pizza? Or could you have chicken on the side? Or that's a stupid thing to say, but you could just put some protein powder in some water and drink it with it.
Gotcha.
But
Okay.
you did that, but that still didn't make up for what you needed that day because you only had
Yeah, it
98 grams of protein, right?
didn't quite make
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
And your fat wasn't quite up to snuff either. It was 56 and it could have been like 65 or something grams. So it's just these small changes. You
Yeah.
had 72 grams of sugar this day. I don't think you worked out this day, so it could have been
Mhm.
more like 40 and that would have been better for your metabolism.
Okay.
So it's super simple, right? When you think about it, it's
Yeah.
like, okay, 40% carbs, 35% fat, 25% protein each meal each day. And then where we play around with things is in those meals before working out. So for
Hmm.
instance, like on a day when I don't work out, I might just honestly have breakfast, lunch, dinner. And
Okay.
on my climbing days, if I'm going climbing between lunch and dinner, I will
Hmm.
add a meal that is very carb and sugar heavy in there so that I feel good during my workout and so that
Okay.
I get the calories that I need for that day. For you, that could be breakfast, lunch, snack, dinner all the time.
Hmm.
Um, and then you just change that snack so that it's bigger and has more carbs in it. And so your
Okay.
percentages are going to change depending on what you're doing that day, but we want to stick with this baseline of those percentages,
Okay. Yeah.
if that makes sense. And the protein, we definitely want to look at the grams. And with the sugar, we definitely want to make sure that we look at the grams too, so that we have this baseline of 40. And then, okay, I'm exercising this much, so I can have more,
Okay.
amount more.
Yeah.
And then exercising before eating, that is the
Hmm.
biggest no-no that you can do
Okay.
for you because what happens is especially if you wake up and you have your coffee and then you go exercise, which I don't know if you are, didn't sound like you were, but
Not you, especially not running. That would mess my stomach up a lot.
yeah. Yeah, okay, yeah, duh.
But
Um
I don't like I said, I don't love like eating a ton before I go running. So I'm usually like if it's a longer run, like it's just like a half a protein bar, like it not a ton.
yeah.
But I don't know like if I could figure out a way to like space it out so that I'm eating like I get up, eat something, wait a little bit, go for a run. I don't know.
Yeah, it's tricky because sleep is so important. Like you're not trying to wake up an hour before you go so that you can digest.
Yeah.
But honestly, what I usually tell people is like prioritize your sleep because you're already not getting that much.
Yeah. I'm like a
And
7 hour person.
yeah. And so I would say like don't do your workouts in the morning because I want you to sleep and I want you to eat before them.
Okay.
Because what happens is you wake up, your blood sugar is already really low, and that already makes your body stress and secrete stress hormones.
Hmm.
And so then you go do this steady state run, and that is the most stressful kind of run you can do, like the most stress hormone inducing. And
Okay.
so what that does is it first of all, it can make you tired later in the day, even if you do eat afterward. It can also make you secrete those stress hormones, which if you're doing that chronically, it will make you gain belly fat and make it really hard to lose weight and
Mhm.
cause anxiety and sleep issues
Yeah.
so inflammation. So I just I know that like you can listen to the Huberman Lab and whoever else you want to get this evidence that it's good to exercise in a fasted state, but especially
Mhm.
for women, and I just don't ever see it work. It just doesn't
Okay.
work.
Yeah.
And so we just are constantly needing to fuel up for something or recover from something. So I just am an advocate of eating beforehand.
Okay. That's good. That's an interest I like that idea because, like I was saying, I've been having trouble figuring out, like, how to fit the different things in my schedule, and obviously, like you said, some of it is just a job takes up a lot of your time, so you have to kind of fit it around that, but I wonder if, like, just getting up in the morning is not necessarily gonna work, like, mm,
Yeah. I mean, why do
cutting
something
out
that
that
you,
time in the afternoon might be a better way to approach it.
yeah. I mean, it's tough. I understand that you're a multi-sport athlete and you want to do these things and they make you feel good, but rest is also extremely important. Um, and I would rather see you do a strength workout in the morning, if anything. Like, even if it's a 20-minute strength workout, you eat something because then you don't have to worry about the digestion piece of it.
Okay.
And and not as much at least. And then you do
Yeah.
like 5 exercises, 3 to 5 reps
Mhm.
3 to 4 times, and you just
Yeah.
do a cycle of them, it's the circuit basically. And
Mhm.
then that's quick and easy. You don't have to get up an hour and a half earlier or anything like that.
Yeah.
And when you do eat before you exercise in the morning, what you want to focus on is some carbs and some protein. And
Mhm.
this is when you can get away with having those simple carbs. So like that yogurt and protein powder or a banana and a little peanut butter. Like it doesn't even have to be
Okay.
that much protein, but just something. Like try to get
Okay.
a couple hundred calories in you and then eat the rest of your
Full
breakfast.
breakfast.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's kind of the gist of things. If I look at your weekend, I can see what you're saying. Like
It
you, yeah,
yeah,
there's
I
a
don't
lot more
pay
sugar. Yeah.
yeah, the weekends, like, if I am not yeah, if I'm not paying a ton of attention to it, I just sort of am, like, at random, but I'm curious about not I wonder if I was, like, aiming for those percentages more if I would just, like, be able to feel the difference, and that would make me think of it.
Well, I think there are a few things going on. So you had 2262 calories, 277 grams of carbs on this Saturday,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
and
sugar.
140 grams of sugar and 60 grams of protein. So what I
Mhm.
think is happening partly is that you are undernourished during the week and your body and brain are like, I'm gonna eat now. Like I am legit hungry. And so you do. And the easiest thing to go to is carbs. And the hardest thing to go to is protein because it doesn't taste as good as carbs.
Yeah.
So like this breakfast, you had a muffin, a
Yeah.
pretty small muffin and coffee. And so you had 4 grams of protein. And so then of course you're setting yourself up to want carbs
To
for the rest
tank
of the day.
there.
Yeah, because your
Okay.
blood sugar is just kind of going like this, like a roller
Yeah.
coaster. So yeah, you want to try to make things as similar as you can on the weekends to the weekdays.
Yeah.
Make that as easy as you can for yourself. Like, I'm not a huge fan of prepping food. What I am
Mhm.
a fan of is when you make dinner for yourself on a Monday, make
Mhm.
enough for 5 meals for just you.
Okay.
So that might mean 10 meals if it's you and your partner. And that
Yeah.
could just mean like putting a huge tray of chicken thighs in the oven for 18 minutes with salt and oil on them and a
Mhm.
huge thing of rice or um what's another grain that people like a bunch of sweet potato. I do a bunch of sweet potatoes at a time and I
Okay.
just scoop out the baked potato and reheat it.
Yeah.
Do the same with potatoes. You can do bread, you can whatever. And then like when you're making some vegetable for yourself, just make a ton of it. Like roast a ton of vegetables at one time.
Okay.
So then you
Yeah.
don't have to worry about it on the weekends. You can take it out with you if you go climbing. even at the gym, and just mix all those things together. But yeah, I think that's kind of what's going on here.
Okay.
So in terms of what you do now, um, I think if you can even just go to your appetite. Like, I don't want you overeating. I don't really want to say this is how many calories you should eat because I don't know for
Mm-hmm.
sure. If I was working with you, we would do some experimentation. And
Okay.
so what I would say is do put in a few days in MyFitnessPal where you're
Mm-hmm.
getting those 130-ish grams of protein and
Okay.
you're getting the proper amount of fat. And then don't go above like 2000 calories during the week
Okay.
because you're already at this equilibrium at 1700, so I really don't want you to start gaining a bunch of weight, but I think
Yeah.
2000 could be appropriate.
Okay.
And then just see how you feel because your tastes are going to change. Your body's probably going to start changing even if you just did that.
Okay.
And make sure your sugar, like look at your sugar every day, 40
Yeah.
grams plus
Figure out how to
whatever
drop that.
exercise. Yeah.
Okay.
But what questions do you have? I just talked a lot.
No, that answers a lot of it because that's part of like yeah, part of my question was just like is if like adjusting the percentages would like we were talking about like help with the sugar, which I know was like if you look at what I'm eating, it's not all kind of like full of sugar. It's just like certain things all of a sudden just like pop, like kind of
Add up.
spike it up. And yeah, I'm curious. I want to try that. I'm curious to see like how that would change the kind of like just the way that I'm like feeling and like in the evenings and stuff when I'm get very like sugar sweet toothy.
Yeah. I don't think you'll get that way if you start eating like this.
Okay.
And then the challenging thing for you too is going to be like, okay, well, I do want a snack. What do I have?
Hmm. Yeah.
And that's when you can go to your yogurt and your protein powder and your nuts and seeds and like a couple berries, right? Or
Yeah.
you can have crackers with cheese and salami on them, or um, like oatmeal with protein powder, or oatmeal with a cracked egg in it and some butter, or in like a tiny bit of honey or something.
Okay.
So, but what all those things that I just mentioned are like pretty low sugar, but they do
Hmm.
have some starch, some fat, and some protein in them. And they're easy and quick.
Yeah.
Or just like extra dinner, leftover dinner.
Gotcha.
That's
And just
fine.
like it's like eat just like a smaller portion of that for a
Yeah.
snack.
Yeah, exactly. And save those really sugary snacks for before your climbing sessions and during
Okay.
your climbing sessions.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a I we usually are like when we go to the gym, we usually go for a couple of hours and I don't always like feel like I'm crashing out like during that, but I am usually like super hungry by the time we get home. Um,
Yeah, and that's the other thing with you, and this is really common too, is people will do what you're doing with your schedule, and they're like, "What do I do?" So, what I would do is
Mhm.
make that meal before you go much bigger. It's
Okay.
basically a dinner, but make sure you choose foods that you digest well. Go to
Okay.
the gym, come home, and then have a snack instead of a whole dinner.
Okay. Kind of
Like,
like flip.
yeah, portion your calories so that you're not trying to sleep while you're digesting all that food.
Yeah, which
'Cause
I'm sure
that's a
I
problem.
probably am since we only eat like an hour before we go to bed. So,
Yeah, yeah. And that can cause problems in itself. So that's what I would suggest there. So that might be, um, I'm just looking at it might be you had two slices for this lunch on Sunday. You had two slices of bread, Colby Jack slices, deli meat, mayo, and chips. You might honestly have this
mhm.
and some sort of sugary snack along with it before you go to the gym.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Or have the sugary snack while you're at the gym. Those Wegmans fruit snacks or the cherries or the blueberries or whatever.
Yeah. So then would you have like obviously not maybe chicken nuggets, but like would you have like a dinner that size afterwards, like another
No,
400
no, no. So
calories-ish or
then you
something
come
much smaller?
home and you have This is also a fine time to have some sugars, like a post workout.
Hmm.
So that might be your yogurt and granola at night.
Okay.
'Cause that's also pretty easy to digest as long as you don't have dairy issues.
Yeah, no, not as far as I can tell.
Yeah, so it'd be like a 300 calorie snack, post workout snack. And then you
Okay.
go to bed and you're way better off. And I
Yeah.
can promise you that if you do this, you eat more at breakfast, more at lunch, more at that pre workout meal, you're not going to want that much when you get home.
That would be that's probably a lot easier than trying to cook at
Oh
10
my
PM.
God, it's so much easier. Yeah. Yeah, it's so much easier.
Yeah, okay.
Or just have like a tortilla with cheese and turkey on it, like just
Mhm.
something with all the things that we've talked about. The only thing I will say as a nutritionist, I do feel, responsible for saying you could be eating more vegetables. Like I'm not
Okay.
really seeing that many vegetables, which is very common. People don't even know how to eat them, like where to put them.
Yeah, and
So
this weekend was particularly bad. We've been doing a lot better recently. We started getting like a CSA from our local farm. So I have been incorporating, I feel like a lot more than I normally have, but I'm still kind of getting a grasp on like, what do I do with 4 yellow squash? Like, how do I cook these? So just trying to get a handle on like
yeah.
we're getting random vegetables, which has been really cool because it's kind of been like pushing me out of my comfort zone cooking wise and like figuring those things out. But this particular weekend, I was, like, not feeling experimenting with vegetables.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, honestly, that's part of why I like to eat savory breakfast, mostly because
Mhm.
they make me feel good. But secondly, because it's an opportunity for vegetables
Oh, that
instead
is
of the
an
typical
odd
sweet.
thought,
Yeah.
vegetables for breakfast.
Right. So my breakfast always has beets, cabbage, and zucchini in it.
Oh.
And it's delicious. Like anybody who ever sees me eat my breakfast is like, that looks really good. And it is because I
I
have like sausage and turkey and
was gonna say, do
noodles.
you put, like, eggs and, like,
I
sausage
don't,
and
so
stuff in it?
no, I don't do eggs. I can't
Okay.
do eggs. But even if I could, I wouldn't because one egg is only 6 grams of protein and I need like 30 grams of protein per meal.
Okay.
So no, I do ground turkey and ground pork from this farm down the street. And so
Okay.
but so then I'm getting these vegetables in my breakfast and then I'm having some salad at dinner and I'm having some fresh veggies at lunch, so it's just an easy way to get them in there and that's nutrients, that's fiber,
Yeah.
that's all those things that you're not getting.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I never thought about that. I'll have to look up do some recipe searching, see what I can find.
Yeah, and I don't ever do recipes. I just like throw things in there with some salt. But but
I do
anyway,
actually enjoy cooking. I know a lot of people like run into nutrition problems because they don't really like cooking. I do actually generally enjoy it, but sometimes I'm kind of wiped after my workout or like I'm kind of just like that. And so
yeah.
I feel like I go kind of up and down. Like I do really well and then I'm like, no, I got nothing. And then
Right. And that's another reason. I mean, we could go on and on about this, but basically, that's another reason why I do like cooking in the morning. And granted, I have a different schedule than most people. Like, I have some time in the morning,
Mhm.
but I will cook enough so that I have a snack that is my breakfast
Oh,
later
okay.
in the day. So I make like almost double.
Hmm.
And then I have a snack that's already pre made before I go to the gym. And I can add starch and sugar to that to make it
Okay.
more carby. So it's just another pre-made kind of thing that you can think about. You could even do extra for dinners and then use those leftovers for your pre-meal, your pre-workout meals
Yeah. Okay.
the next day. I mean. So anyway, do you have any questions?
Um, I don't think so. I think we covered a lot of the stuff that I had written down as like things that I wanted to ask. So I feel I kind of yeah, I have a lot of things I want to try.
Okay, cool. So what I think I'm going to do is check back in with you before I publish this in
Okay.
like 2 weeks.
Okay.
So we'll see what happens. I'll just email you and maybe ask you for like a voice note that we can
Yeah.
put on this episode. But if
Yeah,
you
that'd be
have any
great.
questions in the meantime, please email me.
Okay.
I don't want you to just like be confused about anything, but hopefully you took some notes.
All right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You don't want to know what my whiteboard looks right now. It's insane.
Okay. All right. Well, again, thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I am really excited. I feel like it's definitely some interesting stuff that I want to try. It's very different than what I've been doing. So I'm
Good.
I'm curious to see how it goes.
Awesome. All right. Good luck
Yeah.
with it. And I'll catch up with you in a couple weeks.
Yes. Thank you very much.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
All right. I hope you enjoyed that session with Caitlin. That, like I said, is pretty much exactly how I work with people. So if you want help with your nutrition, I'm available to help you. You can go to trainingbeta.com/nutrition and see my options there. Now, as I said in the beginning, I do have an update from Caitlin. I emailed her a while after our conversation just to see how things were going. And this is what she said. She said, "Good to hear from you. I have been adjusting my diet like we talked about, aiming for 40% carbs, 35% fat, 25% protein, and more even sized meals. It feels like it's been a learning curve figuring out different meals and amount of foods fit into those guidelines, but I have noticed that I'm less hungry throughout the day and feel more fueled since my calorie intake has gone up. I don't feel as sugar cravey, although I do still have a sweet tooth I have to moderate, but it seems easier to tell when I just would like one piece of chocolate versus when my brain is compensating for low carb or sleep amounts. Haven't fully seen any body composition changes, but I think that will take time and consistency. I'm excited to see how sticking to eating like this more long term helps me feel fueled and ready for my running and climbing. Thanks for talking me through a lot of this stuff. The information is helpful. There's a lot of confusing and mismatched nutrition and workout info out there, and it was really nice to hear some concrete suggestions from someone who has the knowledge and also seen those suggestions work. Best, Caitlin." So thank you for that update, Caitlin. I really hope that things are going well for you. And yeah, that was fun for me. So thanks for listening to this episode. I know it's a little bit different than my normal interviews. And if you want to be on the show to do this with me for either nutrition or mindset, please email me at neely@trainingbeta.com or info@trainingbeta.com if that's easier. I would love to have you on the show. Just email me with what your deal is, what your goals are, what you're having troubles with, and we'll try to set something up if we're a good fit. So again, you can work with me on your nutrition at trainingbeta.com/nutrition. Would love to help you out. And that's all for today. In a couple weeks, I'm super excited. I have an episode with Katie O'Brien, who's a doctor, and she specializes in menopause and perimenopause. And we had a riveting conversation actually today about hormone replacement therapy, supplements, diet, mostly hormone replacement therapy, and like what perimenopause looks like. So stay tuned for that in a couple weeks, and I'll talk to you then.